So let me just say that this is my favorite Transformers film. It's also my first Transformers film, which automatically makes it my least favorite Transformers film. Ha! Welcome to the channel, you citizens of Cybertron. I just got back from an early screening of Transformers 1, the newest animated movie reviving old IP in a new way stylistically in the medium of animation. Transformers 1 is directed by Josh Cooley, who you may know from Toy Story 4. Let's not talk about that. A quick plot synopsis: this is the origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron, and how they went from best of friends to bitter enemies. The two get caught up in an adventure that shakes their realities as they have always known it. So you may have caught in the cold open, I'm not a Transformers guy. I've never seen the shows. I've never watched the movies. I've never played with the toys. You'll learn quickly on this channel that there is a lot of movies and media that I just have not consumed over my lifetime. But as someone that wants to continue falling in love with cinema, I think there's no better way to jump into a franchise than through the medium of animation and the literal origin story of these two iconic characters. I know the animation style was ripped to shreds by skeptical people when the trailer was first released, and the trailer also leaned fairly heavily towards a younger audience, and I can confirm many kids and many families at my screening tonight. So first off, on a stylistic note, the animation never did bug me. It never did bother me. I think you learn fairly quickly not to judge an animated movie off of its animation style based off of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem was fairly well received. I like how animation studios are taking swings when they're doing new styles of animation. There's some interesting animation stylings on the surface of the planet Cybertron, and it's changing like all the time. It's mixing shapes and forms. There's a lot of color contrast in the movie too that was very appealing to watch. The majority of my mixed feelings of this movie come from the story itself and how it's executed. As a Transformers noob, I was able to follow the story and it was following along fairly well. It's not too inside baseball that I didn't understand the story. Maybe some Easter eggs went over my head, but again, it didn't really affect my viewing. But there is a bit of an expositional dump in the beginning and a longer explanation in the middle of the movie. I don't know if this is established lore previously or if this is just something for the plot's sake of the movie, but either way, it was just like, here's everything. We're gonna spill it out for you. The movie only gets more exciting as it clips along. It's on an exponential growth rate, math people.
Nerd.
But it did take like 40 minutes in order for the peak to start really showing. The first 40 minutes really wasn't that engaging to me. It was fairly more juvenile than I was hoping for. But where the movie ends and its dynamic between Optimus Prime and Megatron is at a fever pitch, like 12 out of 10. But then also, I feel like the arc of that is a little bit rushed. For every positive that I have about the story execution, I have a negative about it. But then I remember that this movie really is for a younger demographic, and it is, like I said, fairly entry level if you're going to become interested in the Transformers franchise. And then at the same time, you have to satisfy your established fan base. And I think it does stick the landing in that regard. As for the voice performances, they're fine.
I'm fine. I'm perfectly fucking fine.
Your standout is Brian Tyree Henry, who does well in slowly building the menacing Megatron in his performance. No matter how forced the story makes it feel, there is true anger behind his voice. Chris Hemsworth's performance is fairly standard. There is a progression similar to Brian Tyree Henry. Both their voices become more confident and stern as they speak and do actions. It works fine overall. I didn't even recognize Scarlett Johansson or Steve Buscemi. However, I could pick out a certain Keegan-Michael Key. If you need a comic relief in your animated movie with hit or miss dialogue and it becomes a bit overbearing to the overall story, you know who to call. I think the movie stands out in its literal messaging of transformation. Pun fully intended.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Optimus Prime and Megatron begin this movie as laborers in the energy mines, and you do see the evolution of their characters as they embark on their quest and how they diverge as they gain more knowledge and skill. Obviously, we know where that dynamic stands at the end of the movie, just given the franchise as a whole. But that doesn't make it any more heartbreaking to watch it unfold in real time.
Friendship over!
It's a lesson in healthy and unhealthy coping in the face of adversity and the two drastic paths to overcome that. There are changes in Megatron's eyes as they grow darker and darker and become a furious red alongside Optimus Prime, and how his lax attitude becomes more concerned and serious throughout the movie. And then, of course, it reaches its climax in the third act. There are a couple of fairly small sequences that are kind of dark, that if this wasn't an animated movie and this was done with like human actors, I think the rating would shoot up to at least PG-13. Overall, I think this is a very, very fun movie. The kids are going to get a kick out of it. They'll ask you for their backpacks and lunchboxes with these characters. To my understanding, this is also a movie that the fans were asking for. Hear me out. This is a movie that takes place on Cybertron with no humans, and you're just furthering the lore and exploring this world that has graced the homes and screens of so many over the decades. And in the end, I was won over. It's not something that I'm clamoring to rewatch, but when they inevitably make the sequel, I will be willing to rewatch. I'll be willing to watch the next iteration of these characters and jump back into this version of Transformers. So overall, I'm giving Transformers 1 3.5 out of 5 stars. Thank you for watching. My name is Kyle, and I am still falling in love with the medium of cinema. And if you'd like to see more reviews, deep dives, and rankings, feel free to subscribe, follow me on Letterboxd. Comment below your thoughts about Transformers 1 if you've seen it, if you're anticipating it. Should I look at some of the other Transformers media out there? I am interested in Bumblebee. I'd be willing to watch that. Don't forget to like the video, and until next time, that's a wrap.